This is the Amazing Education Podcast. Powered by the Ames Community School District, I'm your host, Eric Smith. On today's episode, we are joined by Ames High senior Makenzie Grim. We're going to have an amazing conversation about what it's been like to be a senior in a pandemic year and how she earned her CNA while in high school. Makenzie Grim, thank you for being on this episode of the Amazing Education Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am doing very well.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, how are you? I mean, you have only a couple weeks left of school, and then you enter the ranks of being an alum of Ames High.
I know.
Is it sinking in?
A little bit. Like, all this last, marching band tomorrow in the parade.
Yeah.
That's a last. Prom. Never had a prom before because last year, but
Right.
that's going to be a last on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Is it cool, or, does it, feel weird to have these last things?
It's kind of cool because I'm kind of like, oh, this is going to be the next step of my life. And, it's kind of like adulthood. Going into college, you're going to be 19, 20 years old in college, getting your career, getting your degree. Yeah. And it's really cool to me. I'm very excited. So
you seem to be the type of person who you appreciate the moment, but you're looking to the future.
Yeah.
And so this week, I mean, I guess we didn't schedule it this way, but we pushed homecoming here in Ames out of the fall and into the spring, and it's our homecoming prom week. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of a cool cap for the seniors who have had a very odd year.
It's been weird. When they said that we had to walk a certain way in the hallways, I was freaking out.
Yeah, right? You're like, for 3 years, you could just walk however, but this year suddenly,
They finally took it down where we can walk wherever we want. Because at one point, I was walking from the choir room all the way around the building, then up the stairs. I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to get old really
when
fast.
In fact you could have just and up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it difficult? So let's talk about this. So last year you were a junior. We got to March. Schools across the state of Iowa shut down. And then suddenly, I mean, essentially, I know this is the way it was for my kids. It's like, well, they had an early summer. Yeah. I mean, we just went into summer early. Yep. I know that, there was some learning going on, but I mean, come on, you had an early summer.
Yeah.
And so then we lived through COVID, all summer, and we get to the fall of 2020. Did you mentally prepare for what this year could be like? Or did you have any idea?
I walked into it okay, I have to wear a mask. That's going to be weird. Yeah. Not seeing people's faces. I forgot what some people looked like walking into school. I'm like, they're wearing a mask and can't tell what they look like. Yeah. And it was just really different. And the environment was different too, because you take your mask down, you get a sip of water, and everybody's like, it's just, it was a different environment.
I know. So we're getting through the year. Now we're into the end. What have been some of your takeaways?
Oh, some takeaways.
Or maybe what have you learned about yourself? Because not only is, yes, there's the mask, there's, certain COVID mitigation things, and we all kind of learn to live with them. But even academically and socially, things have, they've been not normal for now months, and so we're all learning to adapt. Have you had any takeaways or things that you've learned about yourself through this whole process?
I've kind of since it's my last year in high school, I'm kind of oh, I need to have fun, go out and do things that I normally wouldn't, go to prom. I normally probably wouldn't have gone to prom, but it's my last year, and I'm COVID has kind of put a damper on things. Sure. And so I'm oh, let's just go have fun with friends, and just kind of, it's your last year, and you're always going to remember high school as this awful time, but make the most of it. Yeah. And so that was kind of my big takeaway was you only have one life, so you should live it to how you want to live it. Yeah. And it was just kind of this is your last chance to be a kid, I guess. Yeah. And just, I don't know. It was just one of those things where the end of junior year, I was okay, this is my last year here at high school, and I just want to live it how I want to live it. Yeah. So.
How was the online component
Oh.
of school. So
was hard.
so let me frame the question here.
Yeah.
So as we were in the midst of making decisions, across the district, a lot of variables at play here, but we knew that there's going to be some component of online learning. And as you know, we went in and out of some online learning and then in person, and then you were in the building for part of the week and then not part of the week. But the thing that I reflected on was online learning it's a way, to get a college degree for some people. It's a way to do professional training, depending on what field, you're in.
Yeah.
And so it is a component and a way to learn that it can be really difficult for some people, but also maybe needed, depending on what field you go into.
Exactly.
Did you learn anything through that process? Like, was it just incredibly difficult, or
The online
Yeah.
part? Oh, it was, for me personally, it was super difficult because it was 7:50 in the morning and all you had to do was open your computer. Like, there was no motivation for me to, like, get out of bed and start singing to no one. Because my first period was choir.
Oh.
And so I didn't really have any motivation to, like, get things done. The first couple weeks I was fine.
Yeah.
But then I just kind of went into this slump of, like, I'd rather be in person right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more of a visual learner.
Yeah.
And so being, like, in person and, like, seeing what the teacher's doing, how they're saying things is better for me. And so that was kind of difficult. But at the same time, it was just a way of life then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's maybe a glimpse into what college could be, in
Yeah.
some ways. But there is also that boy, I got to get up and go to that 8 o'clock class, in college, which isn't always the easiest thing in the world.
No, it's not.
So obviously there have been some challenges. Have you encountered, upon reflecting on it, positive challenges throughout the year? I always find not all challenges are inherently negative. Sometimes, like, you don't really, like, you encounter a challenge and then you reflect on it and was like, you know what? I kind of nailed that.
Yeah. Definitely doing high school and college classes at the same time.
Yeah.
It was a good challenge for me because it kind of gave me a glimpse, got my feet wet into the college world.
Yeah.
And so taking both the nursing class and high school classes, once the college classes were over, I'm like, high school's easy. Like,
Yeah.
I just took a college class and graduated from that, and it was just like, oh, I can do this. And like
Yeah.
you said, it's just like I accomplished this.
Yeah.
And it was just such a good feeling to be able to accomplish both things.
So today is, we just talked about this beforehand. Today is International Nurses Day, and you got your CNA
I
and
did.
are going to celebrate that this evening.
I am, yep. I have virtual commencement tonight for DMAC. They're going to announce my name. There's going to be a little message, whatever, and so I got my cap and gown last week.
Yeah.
And so once I take state testing, there's a skills and a composition part of that testing. I'll officially be on the state registry for a CNA, and I can work at a hospital or a long-term care facility.
So what are all the things that now you're going to be able to do? Like, if you went into a hospital, you would be able to do...
I would be able to be a patient care tech, a PCT at Mary Greeley. That's what I'm planning to do in the fall.
Okay.
And I can take blood sugars, I can work with catheters, I can work with IVs and stuff like that. It's just a great experience.
Like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what are you going to do then next year? You're going to continue on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you going to do that while you're working?
Yeah. Yep.
This is huge.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about, like, that process of doing both your CNA work, but then also the stuff that's primarily out of high school, Ames High.
So I'll probably be working evenings, and then during the day I'll have, like, my general education classes. I'm going to get those out of the way first.
Yeah.
I have a few classes that I need to take before I can actually start my nursing classes. But once I get through the general education stuff and get to my nursing classes, then I can get my RN, hopefully become a registered nurse. And then if I want to continue to do that, if I love it enough, I'll stay at DMAC. But I'm thinking of transferring after a few years to Iowa.
Yeah.
And they have a really good 6-month paramedic program that I'm interested in. I like the action, so I kind of like paramedic would be awesome. So
That sounds intense.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, the University of Iowa, they do have a really good, I mean, it's probably the top in the state
Yeah.
nursing program, correct?
Yep, they do. A lot of my friends are going there.
Really?
Yeah, I have 3 or 4 friends, some from Ballard, some from Ames, that are going there to be in their nursing program, and they got in like right away. It was a hard thing to get into.
Did you all like jointly pursue like this nursing profession?
A few of them did. Some of them are just like get high school over with and focus on college.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are just going to Iowa, just like, okay, I'm ready to do this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
What got you to pursue this?
I don't know. Nobody in my family's in the medical field.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I felt like it was my like calling, I guess, because
Okay.
I really like helping people to like feel better about themselves, about their life, about their body, like just etc. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, this would be a really good field for me. I love talking to people, love communicating and helping people. So I was like, this will be a good thing. And I've seen lots of medical shows like Grey's Anatomy,
Sure.
stuff like
Yep.
that. But
Just renewed
Yeah.
for another season.
Yep.
I saw that.
so
So my wife and I annually, I think they didn't have it last year, but it was right around this year or this time of year, annually helped photograph a nurses event that took place down in Des Moines. 100
Really?
Great Iowa Nurses is what
Aw,
it was called. Yeah.
that's great.
But the University of Iowa was the one that put it on.
okay.
And so I always have like these fond memories of like just witnessing the community
Yeah.
that is in the nursing profession. And they would have, you know, like this huge room, and every year they would honor 100 Iowa nurses.
Yeah.
And it was really amazing
That's
just to see the
awesome.
community within it.
Yeah.
So when did you like really become serious about it? Because obviously you've been taking classes
Yep.
towards this. Like, what are all the classes about?
So when I was a sophomore or junior, I found out that Ames High would enroll you in a DMAC course that was called Health Occupations. So that was basically finding out like what different careers are in the medical field,
Yeah.
finding out what those careers do and how they like affect the medical field. And so then after I did that one, I took it my senior year. So in the fall, I took Health Occupations. And then after that was medical terminology, which is super difficult. Yeah, it's just memorizing a bunch of medical terminology, suffixes, prefixes of medical terms, and it's crazy.
But this is how they speak, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, you need to know this.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I started like watching shows, and I'm like, myocardial infarction, that's a heart attack. It's like, it kind of clicked for me. Yeah.
You'll never be able to watch Grey's Anatomy
No,
the
I
same
won't.
way.
And like some of the stuff I'm like cringing at. I'm like, I don't know if they should be doing that. But
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then after medical terminology was beginning CNA. So that was getting the skills down and doing a bed bath, shampoo and conditioner in a bed, stuff like that. After that, we did advanced CNA, which was clinicals in the hospital. So we got to actually work with real patients instead of mannequins.
Yeah.
And we got to go there 5 times for 8 hours each. And we had to get, I think it was 4 times, 8 hours each. And we got to hang out with some PCTs. They basically showed us around, showed us materials, and we got to give some baths to bedridden patients.
Yeah.
And it was just such a cool experience.
Yeah.
So, and then I graduated from those.
So, you know, some people, they are not, you know, needle people. What was it weird making the transition from, okay, in an academic sense, I'm learning on mannequins,
Yeah.
and now I'm working with like real people who, you know, like have real feelings and real
Yeah.
blood and real emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Was it weird?
It was really weird, honestly. I struggled a little bit the first couple times I was there because the mental aspect of it is a
Yeah.
little different, and you have to be like emotionally ready to deal with things.
Yeah.
And there was just some patients where it's like, I don't really know how to deal with this, so I'm going to let the PCT deal with this.
Yeah, right.
Because there were just some things like I'm not trained to do, and it's not
Right.
in my job description or whatever. And but overall, I loved it. It was just like
Yeah.
I walked into there and I was almost in tears. I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to do this.
You can't fight that passion. I
No,
mean, it's
you
like it's
can't.
in you. Like you really can't. You can't fight it.
Yeah.
So did you pick up some like tips and tricks like already? I would imagine that you just like are absorbing information and probably you know, there's the academic part of it where it's like you have to learn, you know, these terms and then,
Yeah.
you know, the technical way to put an IV in. But then when you get someone like me who, I can do it. Like needles don't hurt, but like I always have to look the other way and I like breathe heavy and I'm dramatic about it. Like I'm that person, but I don't know that I'm like not normal about it, but you have to learn how to deal with, people like me. I mean,
there's some people that are kind of squeamish like that,
sure.
I guess, but
most people suck it up.
Yeah, most people are like, okay, whatever. Also, the patients that get their like finger poked for diabetes, like they're just used to it.
Right.
So
yeah.
they're just like,
I had a buddy who was diabetic. I mean, and he would give himself insulin shots, and he, we're just having a normal conversation. He just, pokes himself like it's no big deal. I was like,
oh, okay.
Geez, Louise, I couldn't do that.
I couldn't.
But
do it
you
myself.
could.
I mean,
if you had to.
Yeah.
So let's reflect on the senior year for a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe all 4 of your years at Ames High, like how. Obviously, you're thinking forward. Mm-hmm. How do you think Ames High and your high school experience prepared you for, what you're going to do next? And for you, it's pursuing a nursing degree. But how do you think, Ames High prepared you for that next step?
I've had some very good role models from Ames High. Teachers, other classmates, some of the staff there. There's just been some really great people that have helped me along the way through Ames High. Julie Bryant, for example, she helped me through so much. Kathy Packer, I know her. She's a family friend.
Yeah.
So helpful and thankful for them. And it was just, the 4 years were the last 3 were kind of a blur. Like, not going to lie, after COVID hit, it was just like, I don't remember freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. But
it was like a different time ago.
It was.
I get that.
Like, I remember homecoming and band raid and all those things, but.
I know.
Oh, I'm not supposed to say band raid, sorry.
That's shh.
It's like saying Voldemort. But, yeah, I think it was mostly, I just found so many, like, great people in my life already, and I'm only 18 years old.
Yeah.
So. It was just a really great experience.
So when you say mentor, like what does that mean to you?
Mentor means to me, for example, Julie Bryant. She helped me through a really dark time my sophomore year.
Okay.
And she is the school counselor, and she helped me through this really hard day one day, and where I actually ended up in the hospital.
Oh.
And it was just one of those days where like everything kept piling up, and she was just one of those people that was always like smiling, saying hi to me, and it made my day. Like one small act made my day because she knew me and she knew like how I was feeling. So she was just always there. So
but isn't it amazing how you can have that type of day and then yet reflect on it in a fond way? I mean, not that you'd want to relive it. You're right, but 2 years later and yet you have that relationship that will never go away.
Yeah.
How do you feel like Ames High, has prepared if you put yourself in other students' situations? Talk about like the community at Ames High. One of the things that I have talked with other students about, not just on this podcast, but when I'm doing other stories, is the emphasis on, I mean, you talked about you were in band.
Yep.
Huge community of people. And I would imagine a lot of your friends are probably in band. But, like, apply that to other clubs at high schools. You could apply that to athletics. Like, what type of memories are you going to take, from, these last 4 years moving forward?
This doesn't have to do with athletics, but when Spence, my freshman year, my very first day, dropped the mic in the assembly. He just said something. I can't remember what he said, but he just dropped the mic. But yeah,
I was there. I saw it.
It's just so good. It's so good. That's a really good memory. Another one is just band and choir.
Yeah.
Like I am so close to Miss Dieter and Mrs. Johnson. Like it's just a really great community, and being in Madrigal as well.
Oh, were you? Okay,
yes,
I didn't know that.
I was Madrigal for 3 years, so sophomore through this year.
Yeah.
I was lady this year. So
okay.
Yeah. So that was really fun. I connected with a lot of choir kids during that.
Yeah.
That's always going to be one of my top memories as well because it's just so fun. And I got really out of my comfort zone doing it, like acting, and I had a couple solos. It was just a lot of fun.
So when you found out about, clearly you went into Madrigal, I mean, for the performance piece of it, when you found out about the acting and solos, like, what was your instant reaction to that?
My instant reaction was like, ugh. I'm not the type of person to go and sing in front of like 100 people
Yeah,
by myself.
sure.
But I was like, okay, this is my senior year. I'm Lady, which is like the second to Queen. And I was like, we're just going to make the most of it. Like, just go for it. That's
Yeah.
my whole like mindset this year, is just kind of go for it. And whatever you want to do, just do it. Like, reach for the stars.
I mean, but that's a takeaway. I
Yeah.
mean, because your senior year probably forced you to be that person. I mean, like, suddenly you're in magical and you're the senior. Okay,
Yep.
here we go.
Yep.
But you could apply that to now moving forward. I mean, you're not going to have magical next year,
Yeah.
but you're going to be in your nursing program, and you're probably going to be provided opportunities that you can either accept and pounce upon those opportunities or not. And
Yeah,
now you can.
exactly. Yep.
So what are you most looking forward to? You know, graduating is difficult. It can be difficult. It doesn't have to be. But, you know, what are you most looking forward to about entering the ranks of being, you know, an Ames High alum?
Ooh.
Or will you always have, like, the Ames High, you know,
Oh, yeah.
motto in you?
Ames High is like it's like the go school of Iowa, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's known for being big, and like our basketball games, our football games,
Yeah.
we all get so hype. Like, it's just, I love those games. They
Yeah.
were so fun. Like, I'm always cheering on Ames. It's my favorite team, Little Cyclones.
Yeah.
I'm also just like kind of excited to move on,
Okay.
because I don't know, I look towards the future rather than staying
Yeah.
right here. So
I think that's fair.
it gives me hope.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So before we step away and conclude this, are there any shout outs you want to give, you know, to any teachers? I know, I mean, you kind of enter the situation where, you know, if you shout out some people, you leave some people out. I don't want to put you in that position, but, you know, you identified some teachers who really made an impact on you, and you talked some about, you know, magical and music. Any other fond memories you have or shout outs you want to?
Mrs. Dieter, she's retiring this year, and I'm really gonna miss her, like, because I'll come back and watch some shows and stuff like that, but she was amazing. She was a great vocal director. She helped me, like, gain my confidence during Madrigal, and so Mrs. Dieter for sure. Probably just my group of friends that I've been hanging out with. They're just great. I had a really good set of friends to help me through high school, so yeah.
I'll tell you this, the friends that you have in high school, they can be, they last forever. I have a group of friends, and a couple of them actually live here in Ames. I didn't grow up in Ames. Yeah, I didn't grow up in Ames. We all went our separate ways, and now we're all back in central Iowa. And it's pretty cool just to be able to
is cool.
reconnect. You know, now we all have kids, we all have jobs, and so there's some that, you know, just live across town. I never see them, you know, but we text each other, you know. But it's when you get back together that you just, it's like you saw each other the other day. You know, it lasts forever. So anyway, I wish you the best of luck, Makenzie, and I want to thank you again for being on this episode, and enjoy your celebration tonight with your CNA. That is seriously a huge deal. So
thank you so much.
Don't let that be lost on you. You should be very proud.
Thank you.
And so for everyone listening, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Amazing Education Podcast. Please share it with your friends and family and spread the word. But again, Makenzie, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.